Hello everyone, we're here in Millstone Bluffs in Shawnee National Forest, an archaeological site in Shawnee National Forest in southern Illinois. Now I've heard of a wolf in sheep's clothing, but I've never heard of a redbud in cedar branches. It's lingering in here. You can follow it down and find where it gets to the roots of things. It's hiding until you can see its fruit. You know, that's a redbud. That's no cedar tree. Now that's a cedar tree. And they're not side by side. They're one inside the other. Already learning lessons out here. It's really beautiful out here. And it's an old Native American homestead. And Sean and I are going to be heading out on the trail. We're going to go out to where there's petroglyphs and remnants from an old homestead area where they lived. They had their homes there. They had a cemetery even. And hopefully we'll get some good pictures of, or at least some video of some of the sites and maybe some of the petroglyphs. So we're getting ready to go here, and we're going to take you along on our trail. And somewhere along the way, or after we get back, whatever we find better, we'll find someplace wherever God leads us to set up and record for our next chapter of Living by Faith. So stay tuned for that as well. So we'll see you out on the trail here first. All right, bye-bye. Here at Millstone Bluffs. Well, you know, we found a millstone.
It says that Millstone Bluff received its name from the quarrying activity by settlers from the past century. The sandstone around the bluff was shaped into millstones for use in grinding grain. The millstone you see here was left behind. And it was home to both the Woodland and Mississippian Indians. I didn't realize it was to two different tribes.
Yeah, the Mississippians are the ones that are known for their mounds near, usually around major rivers, waterways. And they were more of the farmers. Well, we appreciate them putting this bench here. It's a perfect place for a bench along the trail. Oh, it's just so comfortable too. Oh.
fallen tree.
That's our nice little bench.
Wonder if it was this one.
Looks like a storm brought it down, huh?
Yeah. Back there, that one too.
I wonder if something was living in it. It looks like something was gnawing away, and a whole bunch of shells, so probably squirrels, huh? This is still leaning toward winter. With the bare trees, we do just barely have some buds and blooms coming out for early spring, but it's still pretty bare. And a lot of leaves down on the ground. Not much shrubbery. Get a good view of the forest. Come back when it's more colorful though, because you probably won't get as good of a view of the petroglyphs in that. Alright, here we go, moving on. Looks like we take a hard left. Trying to keep from the trail washing away. Sure is a beautiful day. This is an active archaeological site. They don't know a whole lot about the people here. They know a little bit. Many things we may not know until we get to heaven. But we want to be respectful of the area. We don't want to damage for potentially damaging something that's important to the culture or the people, and also danger of damaging something that could be a key of understanding more about the history here. So, and the beauty, nature here. Just walking where there's no archaeological site in the Shawnee National Forest, we need to be careful not to leave our trash and all that stuff. And God gave it to us to be good stewards, and we should be good stewards of it. All right, moving on.
I need water.
So today we refrained from going to Trigg Tower to do our steps exercises we've been doing twice a week. We kind of traded it in today for coming out here. And part of the reason is because, well, it's only half a mile in here, but on the way in it's uphill. And
Steps.
and now that we're here, we're still at the bottom, and we have all these steps to go up, so we're getting our steps exercises out here anyway, even after hiking the half mile to come in. So here we go, up the steps. It's just so beautiful. The rock formations Us Christians know that the flood caused this, a lot of it, and the erosion since then over the years, but it's just so beautiful. But we're only halfway up the steps, so here we go some more. There's a little opening in there. I don't see no critters living in there. Not quite as many steps as the Trig Tower, but the half mile hike in, and then I think it's about a half mile around the circle here at the top, so it's about a mile total altogether. Woo! All right. Yeah, we made it. Praise the Lord. Oh, a stone fort. There's another stone fort. It says there's around 10 other stone forts in southern Illinois. I know Rim Rock is one that's very popular picnic hiking destination in Shawnee National Forest. All right, moving on. You think we're done with steps yet? No. It's not too many. This is basically an observation for this grave right here. And it's been robbed probably many years before this was part of Shawnee National Forest. Probably local grave robbers many years ago. And there's several grave sites through here. This is just one of them. All right, I see finally we got May apples coming up here. That's usually a sign for morel mushrooms for those who like the morel mushrooms. Yep, more steps. And we're going out to where the petroglyphs are. It's a very fascinating canyony area here. Or someone from the area who is a tour guide out on the trails. He's known as Hiking with Sean. He's got a YouTube channel. He calls it bluffage. Very beautiful. Isn't it so beautiful? Now,
A little bit
This rock
shady.
here is where you can see the petroglyphs. And because of the shade,
Yeah.
it blocks some of them, but I think you can pretty well see the phoenix right there in the sun.
Thunderbird, you mean?
Yeah, the Thunderbird,
it's up
I'm sorry.
there on the left, yeah, Thunderbird. That's like the big Thunderbird. There's part on the right over that way that's part of a Thunderbird too. So
yeah, there's also some tools that they used for basic everyday living, gardening tools, and
I can see the axes and stuff down here. And then the turkey tracks, see right down here close to this wall thing. It's right in there. There's the picture over there showing the turkey tracks right here. Then there's
so I'll
a
show
spider.
the key on the sign so you can tell what it actually looks like in the stone. That's what we're looking at. And here's the Thunderbird that was showing up very well in the sunlight. But because of the shadow, some of this other stuff is,
Hard to see.
some of this here is hard to see, but now I'm going to try to get down here and see if I can't get you a little closer.
Let me get out of it.
There you go. And this is a better time of year to come. Of course, I guess we came at the wrong time of day, where half of it is in the shade because of the railing they have here to keep people from jumping down and walking all on it and destroying it. So here's another sign explaining a little bit more detail about their beliefs and what they did with the reason why they had these symbols. Animals were thought to contain spirits which required prayer and offerings to promote long life and health for the community. So if it was for the community, then one person not being in line with the beliefs, they were a danger to the health of the community. That's the way they were seen. Think of that today, you know, because it doesn't matter what the culture is, whether it was Native Americans and even within Native Americans, depending on their geographical location, there could be some differences in their beliefs, because what kept them alive, so they thought, was different. You know, I believe they believed in an all-maker and all of that stuff, but once again, every culture has had Satan there giving his story, that he is the all-maker, that he is God, and giving a wrong account of God's character, and at the same time that he's leading people to believe that God is just some kind of tyrant or whatever. He's also getting people to worship him out of fear and whatever else, and getting them to believe that he is the sustainment of their life and all that. And it's okay to have these little minor deities underneath him, as long as you put him above all of them. So a shovel and things like that that may help you keep a garden and helps keep you alive, it's important, and therefore becomes like a deity, you know. And so you apply that to our life today, and what are some of the things that we put our faith into that we think are important for our sustainment of life? And that's exactly, we're doing the exact same thing as all these pagan cultures. So we got to be careful what we're putting our faith into, everyone. But it is beautiful. God's nature is beautiful. Satan hides in God's nature with his lies, but that doesn't take the beauty away from God's nature. I hear his voice in the calming waters when I sit next to a brook. I feel the healing properties of the sun that he put in the sky for us, not because the sun is some kind of deity God, but because God himself put some of his power stored in there just to share it with us in a particular unique way. And it's fascinating with the sun, because the sun also, because it's not around 24 hours a day, sometimes it relies on a moon to reflect its light onto the world, which is a lesson for us to learn. If we can be the moon of God's light to the world, that would be great, wouldn't it? That would be great. That's why God's church is portrayed being on the moon in Revelation. Isn't that right, baby doll? You getting a good break in for a little bit?
Yeah, I needed to sit for a minute.
Is it a hard trail?
Not too bad. Uphill is a little rough. I mean, especially when you're out of shape. But it's doable.
How you feeling today?
Pretty good, actually. It's beautiful out. It's warm out. The sun feels wonderful. The air feels wonderful. It's just, it sounds really windy, and it's windier outside of the forest. But once we get into the forest, it's just a nice cool breeze that keeping us from being overheated, I think.
And that water probably tastes refreshing too, don't it?
Yeah, you want some?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we gotta get back up these stairs here now. Moving on. I don't know if you can see them, but there sure are tons of butterflies. Fascinating. So beautiful. And it's that time of year for things to start coming to life, and the trees are no longer frozen. Things start seeping out of them that are good for the critters to eat. Flowers start blooming. It's an interesting time of the year where you see things start coming back to life, like a resurrection. So beautiful. So here's how, through archaeological digs, they've gathered enough information to see somewhat an idea of how they lived in their huts. They lived in a family unit. They did their cooking, their weaving, and everything pretty much within the home site. And then this depression in the earth here is one of the places right here where they had one of those home sites. And you can see several of those impressions in the earth as you move along here. One right there. And over here, the next one is a rather large one. It's not the same size as the family unit ones. So what they assume is that this was a community building. It's larger than the others. The depression in the ground likely was a public building, much like our modern meeting halls. On special occasions, warriors, religious leaders, or political leaders would meet in small groups to plan community events. This is probably where they would gather for some of their religious gatherings as well. And then we're back to regular family size. And they believe that in the center here was where they were getting into some agriculture during that time. They would grow a few little things, and they would also have a public area where they would come together. Well, they call it like a village plaza.
So there was 20 house depressions all around the plaza, so about 100 people living here. That's interesting.
And they have a picture depicting what they gather probably was what took place around this area. They would do their corn grinding and their meat drying and probably their tanning of the hides and stuff as well. So here's another depression. And they're all over the place. Yeah, picking up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Looks like they had a good observation view this way. At least in the wintertime, you can see a good little ways off. And we're not really too far, probably about 3 direct miles, about a 5-mile drive to Trig Tower or so. Where you can see a good little ways off up in the tower. It's not quite like Garden of the Gods, where you get some very interesting and unique rock formations over there. It's all beautiful. Unique differences. Interesting trees that you don't see anywhere else. Well, doesn't this look interesting? Not sure what this is, if it was where someone was using it for a makeshift shelter, or if they were just playing around. We're right next to where the settlement of the Native Americans were. The depressions in the earth were just feet away from it. But of course, if any of you know anything about the Bigfoot researchers, there's many of them that suggest that these are made by Bigfoot. Well, who knows? Maybe it was a demon. But I got a feeling that someone was up here messing around.